In this video, I'm going to share with you the best technique for clearing your head and finding a little inner peace. I do this every single day, and I think you should too. My name is Michael Dennis, and I make videos about confidence, productivity, and happiness so you can get shit done and love every step of the way. Having too much stuff on your mind can render you completely unhappy and unproductive. Whether you're overwhelmed with work and errands, or you have issues in your personal relationships, or you just simply can't get your mind to stop racing, the only way to turn off these thoughts is going to be to get them out of your head. And the only way to get them out of our head is to write them down. Some people make the mistake of thinking that they can get rid of their thoughts by just trying not to think about them or by escaping through things like drugs and alcohol. But the truth is, if you don't take those thoughts out of your mind and work them out, they're never going to go away. Writing things down causes something that I call the reverse snowball effect. And for you early subscribers of mine, you should recognize the whiteboard. It's been forever since I've used it, but I figured it was appropriate in this case, so it's back. But basically, as we go throughout our days, our weeks, or even our lives, if we're not careful about clearing our mind every once in a while, what happens is all of our thoughts start balling up in the normal snowball effect, which is a snowball rolls down the hill and it slowly picks up more and more snow and becomes bigger and bigger. It's exactly the same thing with your thoughts. If you don't take your thoughts out of your head and address them, then they will only continue to pile up and get bigger and bigger. But writing things down switches it up and becomes the reverse snowball effect, which is where it actually starts as a big ball of thoughts, or of snow in this case, and as it rolls down the mountain, the snow comes off, or the thoughts get out of your head, until the ball gets smaller and smaller. Now the goal is to have pretty much the smallest ball possible at all times, because when you have all these thoughts going through your head, it's extremely stressful. And this is why usually when I meditate, I like to have my phone close by, because what'll happen sometimes when I'm meditating is a thought will come to my head that's either very important, or it's something that I realize goes through my head a lot, and so I want to get it out like this. And if I don't have my phone near me, then I start getting anxious, because I'm like, okay, wait, I got this thought, it needs to get out of my head right now. So I'd rather have that ability to just stop meditating for a second, write it down, get it out, so then I can go from a ball of thoughts this big to a ball of thoughts that big. I have over 750 notes in my phone, and they're organized into 11 different categories, from to-do lists to workout plans to just random thoughts. Oh, and of course, YouTube stuff. And technically, you don't have to use your phone. It's just the way I prefer to do it. You could buy a journal and actually hand write out your thoughts, especially if you're more of a visual thinker and you prefer to like draw things out, then that could be a better option. But for me, I'm okay with writing, and I prefer to be able to organize things and put them in the right order, put them in the right folders, etc., etc. So I've had a lot on my mind recently. This whole week has been crazy, and I've just been constantly thinking, and so I've been writing down stuff in my notes 24/7, literally all day, every day pretty much. And so I know that if I don't do that, I'm just gonna keep thinking the same thoughts over and over, and I'm never gonna get anywhere, or I'm gonna forget important things. And that's actually like one of the most important reasons why I do this, is because I don't have a great memory, so maybe an important thought will come to my mind, something perhaps even life-changing, and if I don't write it down, then I know I'm just gonna forget it, no matter how important it is. So a lot of the times, as something comes to my head, I have to write it down. Sometimes this will even happen to me at like 1 or 2 in the morning while I'm laying in bed, and my mind just won't stop racing. Rather than trying to resist it and trying to do things like take melatonin or just tell myself not to think and count sheep and all that stuff, instead, I'll just go with it. What I'll do is I'll just start writing down stuff in my phone until I've cleared my head enough, kind of like the snowballs over there, until I've made the snowball small enough to be able to actually sleep. One time when I was going through a really tough time, I actually did this, and I ended up staying up until the sunrise at like 7 in the morning. And I wrote over, I think it was like 3,000 or 3,500 words. Just think about how much more valuable that is than just thinking the same thoughts over and over. Like imagine if I hadn't taken out my computer and started writing that night. If I had just laid there for 4 or 5, 6 hours, just thinking the same thoughts over and over, that would have done nothing. But instead, I have them all written out in an organized way in a massive note on my computer that I can look back at later. And that's just one more cool thing about doing this, is if you look back at them way later, like let's say a year from then, it's really cool. It's like a new form of memories, rather than just looking back at like your photos, for example. This is like another dimension. This brings you inside what you were feeling and thinking at a certain time in your life. And that can really make you know yourself a little bit better, and you can track your growth over time a little bit. So in essence, this is basically just journaling, but I don't like to call it journaling because when I put the label on it like that, it just adds with it a certain preconception, and it's not exactly the same as what I do. So I feel like if you're trying to call it journaling, you could argue that some things that I do don't count as journaling, or it just doesn't quite fit in the preconception. All I do essentially is just take my thoughts out of my brain, put them on my phone so that I can free up my mental space and think more clearly without having the same repetitive thoughts eating away at me. And I do it really spontaneously. It's not something I sit down at a certain time every day and do. It's just, it could be 3:37 p.m. and all of a sudden, okay, thought just came to my mind, boom. And then 4:25 p.m., thought came to my mind, boom. Like, that's about how frequently I do this. But simply by doing this, by just taking the thoughts out of your mind as they come and putting them on your phone so you don't have to worry about them, it will give you so much more inner peace and you'll just feel at ease. So hopefully this video will help you stop worrying so much about things because you'll get stuff out of your head and onto paper. So that should reduce any sort of generalized anxiety. But if you're anxious for a specific reason, if you have a specific event coming up, you should check out this video right here because it will show you some important tips on how not to be so nervous for something. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or share or subscribe. Do whatever you gotta do, and I will see you in that video. Peace.